Hey guys, and welcome to the podcast where we're a cut above the rest. I'm the Dean of Games by myself again, and that's at the Dean Slater on all platforms. And this is Extra, your weekly gaming news podcast covering the news leading up to. I don't actually know the date for this one, because it's so far away. June 2nd. There we go. June 2nd, 2024. And if you like us, you can go to patreon.com/thebriefing-room. Let's get some news, and that news is not news at all, actually. Especially after the depressing stuff we got last time. Oh boy, my contact. What I was going to say is, probably noticed I was wearing the same thing as last time because I'm recording these back to back. But I'm no longer wearing the exact same thing because I lost one of my contacts. Hopefully, we're going to take a look at it when my eye is less red. Because I feel like it's still in there, but it could have just been my eye got scratched. But yeah, anyways. Off to a great start. In this episode, we're actually going to be doing something a little fun. Fun for me. Since I'm recording this ahead of time, there's not going to be this isn't going to be covering video game news. I've mentioned before that I am my favorite video game franchise is The Legend of Zelda, so we are doing a Legend of Zelda tier list. Yeah. So I'll go through the games in the official release order. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll do release order because one of them's still theoretical. Well, two of them are still theoretical. I was thinking maybe doing it in the timeline order, but these two. Oh boy. There's a couple different possibilities for those. Which would change drastically where we would put them. So we'll do release order. I guess I should put out the disclaimer. This is my opinion. Blah, blah, blah. Don't get too mad. But I'm right. I don't know what to tell you. So the original Legend of Zelda. This game, I've beaten twice. I actually kind of want to replay it again at some point soon. But I've beaten it twice. It's fun, but it definitely shows its age a little bit. That's not necessarily its fault, but I'm going to throw it in good. I like that theoretically you can pursue the dungeons in any order. There is a correct order in terms of ease of dungeons, but you could theoretically do it in any order. Some of the secrets are really nifty, where you get something really cool by burning a random tree, and you don't know until you actually burn that tree. That's a neat thing. Your ammunition is rupees. I like that idea as well. Just there's some cool stuff in there. It's definitely the foundation of what's to come. even in some of the more recent games that people dislike for no reason. This game, uh, this game, I hate this game right here. I just hate it. It's bad. I get it. They tried something new. I'm not opposed to the fact that they tried something new. I'm not good at that gameplay anyway. But then, after I think, second temple, the difficulty skyrockets for absolutely no reason. Like, it goes from, okay, this is a little annoying, it's a little challenging, but it's possible, to, oh my god, what were they thinking? I'm not a fan of that. Difficulty spikes happen in video games. I would like for a just general progression where it's, it eases up. So like it gets harder as you get better, but it stays the same difficulty essentially. So even as your skill improves, the difficulty improves too. So there's that constant flow going to it. That doesn't happen with this game. It goes, okay, this is really hard. Okay, this is really hard. Moon. I generally just don't vibe with it at all. I kind of like some of the music. I think the music's the best part for me. The towns are bleh. I don't understand why they have towns in that game in general. It's whatever. Okay. Link to the Past. I've played a lot of this game. I've played so much of this game, and I am going to put it in the very good category. I really, really like this game. It takes what was good about this one and expounds on that, going back to this style, and it expounds on that. But it does take some things from here as well, such as there's a magic bar. There's a little bit more of a progression to it, whereas in this one you don't really necessarily get item upgrades and stuff. You can upgrade your items in here, just like you can upgrade your abilities here. And thinking about it, I think this might be the best 2D Zelda game. Because I can't think of another 2D Zelda game that's better than that. Okay. Link's Awakening. I mean, I'm a Zelda fan, so obviously I like this game as well. It's a little bit on the shorter side. It's a little bit on the shorter side. But it does so many really good things. It's the first, I would say it's probably the first Zelda game with like memorable characters. Because and there's that one character in this game where it's I am error or whatever. But that, and then this doesn't really have characters, and then this one has characters, but like outside of Princess Zelda, how many of them do you really remember? I mean, there's the priest, there's Link's uncle, there's Sarasala or whatever that the fuck that guy's name is, but you don't really remember too many people from that game. So this is the first game that has memorable characters. It has and it also has an interesting thing where Link is not necessarily the good guy. Link is very self-serving in this game. It establishes all these characters have hopes, dreams, and ambitions. But if Link goes through with what he's been told to do, they die. And so he's not really the good guy. In fact, if anything, you could argue he's the bad guy in this game. For that reason, I'm going to put it here under good. I still have it's on the Game Boy, so it has its flaws. Also, this is the very first Zelda game that I played. This is the game that got me into the franchise. So I do have a positive outlook on it. Not enough for me to move it to very good, because of the limitations to it being on the Game Boy. But it was good. Alright. Ocarina of Time. I like it. It seamlessly transitioned from the 2D space to the 3D space. It it really showed off what the N64 could do and what you could do in 3D in general. It basically introduced, the it introduced a lot as far as the franchise goes. You could go on and on about the things it's done for the franchise, and I like it a lot. But I think people almost give it too much credit. It did a lot for gaming and the Zelda franchise in general. And it is a good game. But I can't bring myself to give it as much praise as other people do. But that does not change anything. It is still a masterpiece. Majora's Mask. I actually like Majora's Mask more than Ocarina of Time. Just like with Link's Awakening, again, Ocarina of Time had memorable characters. Majora's Mask threw that to the nth degree. They're like, you want memorable characters? Let us tell you about these guys over here in Termina. This is a game that is very controversial in the Zelda circles. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I'm one of the people that love it. The time system's great. The people that complain about the time system, you're just not paying close enough attention. I'm sorry. That's a you problem. It's not a game problem. Because you can slow down time. You can fast forward time. You have a notebook in your inventory that you can access that lists the times that, the time frames that you can do events. And there's a line in that time frame that shows you what time it is now. So like you have no excuse really to complain about the time mechanic. They do so much for you. I will say the remake, for everything I hate about it, I do like that when you fast forward in time, you can actually choose the time you want to go to. Whereas with the original N64 version, you have to you simply go to the start of the night or start of the day. So that's the only good thing I'll say about the 3DS remake of Majora's Mask. I did not really like the remake at all. That being said, I know it's not a masterpiece, but I don't know if I should put it in very good or excellent. I may put it in very good, because there are some games coming up that I'm going to put in excellent. And I'll put it above A Link to the Past. So yeah. Alright. Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons. I like that they have it in this order. This is the definitive order that I play in. I play it in seasons and then in ages, because for me that makes the most sense to play it in, because going through seasons, there's multiple seasons in a year, and ages is multiple years. So you'd be going through dozens of seasons to get to ages. That's just the way my mind works. So this is the definitive order that I play these games in. They're technically linked together because you can link the games together. When you beat one, you can type in a code to the other and continue the story from one to the other. That being said, I'm back and forth on these games, if I'm being honest. Seasons, I have an easier time of picking up and playing, and just enjoying myself. But me personally, I think Nehru's a bigger babe than Din. That's when I was playing these games, that's what I was thinking of, is who's the bigger babe. I like the Subrosians from this game more than the Tokay from this game. Although I do really like the Tokay. But I like the dungeon design in this game more than the dungeon design in this game. So it's really, that's basically what you're debating here is, do you prefer the pick up and play, or do you prefer the intricate dungeons? Also, I do think this game has better characters as well than this game does. So I'll put, I hate doing it, but I'll put this here and this here. That makes the most sense to me. Because even though I like that I can pick up and play this more, I do like that you actually have to think with the dungeons in this one. And like Ralph is phenomenal. I love his simpage. Queen Ambi's great. Nehru's great. I like this game. overall more than this game. But like I said, this game's easier to pick up and play. Okay. Four Swords at this Four Swords. Yeah, okay. Four Swords. So I really like this game. I liked playing with my friends with this game. It's actually bundled with the GBA version of that game, of A Link to the Past. I liked playing with my friends and doing the game, but it's very short and content light. And you had to have multiple versions of the same game to play. And for that reason, even though I personally really enjoy it, I'm going to put it in bad. Can I? Oh, there we go. I'm going to put it in bad. There's just not really a whole lot to talk about because of how short it is. It's 4 levels, then a boss level, I believe. And the levels are really designed based on how many players you have accompanying you. Yeah. Anyway. Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. This is up there for me. This is like top 3 game for me as far as the franchise. And I'm going to make what I assume, really, honestly, I think A Link to the Past being in very good, not masterpiece, I think is going to be a little controversial. Here's my most controversial, not my most controversial. Oh boy, that's coming up. But this is one of the more controversial things I'll do. Masterpiece. Look, I get it. People don't like the Great Sea. People talk about the game feeling empty. There's a game that people really like that I think is way emptier than the Wind Waker's Great Sea. But I just like sailing around. I like going to these little islands, doing the activity, and leaving. Like, I don't. To me, it's not that different than what you're doing in Ocarina of Time. It's just rather than running or riding on a horse, you're on a boat. And it's just a fun world. I talked about all the, memorable characters in Link's Awakening and Majora's Mask. This takes memorable characters and like raises you on. They're like, here, take my beer. Every character, even if you don't know the character's name or their personality, just by going to the island, you can see it. You're like, oh, this guy. You've got the guy that's walking around sending love letters for no reason on Windfall. You've got the couple that eye each other, when they pass by each other, but don't have the courage to say anything. You have the model that is friends with the photographer, but people think that they're actually like hooking up. Got the guy that's into really, really, really into the moon. You've got snot-nosed kid. You've got the girl with the pot on her head. There is so much to the game that you just don't notice unless you play it multiple times, and they're like, oh, this character's fun. There's the character dressed as Elvis that's dancing in front of a grave because he's trying to remember a rhythm. It's a fun game. And I argue it's a masterpiece. Sorry, not sorry. So this one right here. This one is going to be one of 2 games that I put in this category. And that's because it's very hard to get a hold of the game. And I just never picked it up when it came out, for whatever reason. And now you can hardly get your hands on it. And so, Four Swords Adventures, never played. It sucks. I wish I had played it. But I did not. Okay. Minish Cap. I loved Minish Cap growing up. I've soured a little bit on it in recent times. There's some things that really bug me about the game in general, but I just have that nostalgia. I remember being in middle school and I sat in the back of the class and I flipped up my book and I was playing it and had no trouble doing that for so long. And then finally some new student comes in, gets the seat next to me. Teacher, I hear him playing something. There's some sounds coming over. And me getting my Game Boy taken away. Bitch. But anyway, I have a lot of fond memories of this. And it is one of the prettiest Game Boy games you'll ever play. Legitimately. It is one of the prettiest Game Boy games ever. And it is still fun. But that's the extent of what I'll say about it. I'm going to put it in... I'm going to put it in very good behind A Link to the Past. Because I still believe that A Link to the Past... Actually, you know what? I'll move A Link to the Past up to excellent. I still think that Link to the Past is the best 2D Zelda. But Minish Cap's real close. It's very close. Alright. Next up, Twilight Princess. Oh boy, if you follow me on social media, you know where this is going. If you don't, prepare to hate me, because it's an average game. It is. It's just an average game. Link moves so slow. The world is empty as hell. People complain about the Great Sea being empty. Oh my god. The Twilight Princess overworld is barren. Like, it is so fucking empty. And it's just brown and gray. There's no color to the world in the slightest. So you're traveling around this empty, barren, boring world, very slowly, like I said. The story's the only thing really going for it, really. I mean, it has good music. People talk about how memorable the characters are. There's a couple, but really there's not as much as people would lead you to believe. Most of them are main cast. Side characters are basically nobodies, for the most part. Whereas, like, with, again, Wind Waker, Wind Waker was, if you actually pay attention, if you actually look at the characters, each character is so distinguishable. Even the NPCs you don't interact with, you can tell who they are because they are so distinguishable from one another. You go into Hyrule Castletown, there's characters that literally disappear when you walk into them. They don't even have a hitbox. I understand they're trying to go for big, like, town structure. It doesn't work. Ocarina of Time did that with the Castletown, and their Castletown characters are more memorable than Twilight Princess's Castletown characters. So even though people point that out, it's not. And I'm sorry, Twilight Princess Zelda's got a cool design. She's probably the worst Princess Zelda in the franchise. I mean, she essentially gives up and submits her kingdom, her people, to the torment of Twilight to protect some guards that signed up to fight and die for their country. Rather than fight and die for her country with her soldiers, she gives up. She submits and subjects her people to all the nasty stuff that happens. And even then, with her clearly being in charge of, leading the armies, she's not very good at that either. Because later in the game, after you learn about her giving up, later in the game you meet up with Telma. And Telma is like, we need someone strong to help us fight the monsters. And then the royal guards leave. They're not very well trained. If they were an actual army, they would have been like, yeah, we're still going to do it. They wouldn't have fled like fucking cowards. But attitude reflects leadership, and Princess Zelda in this game is a coward. I like another positive I'll give about the game. And this goes for Minish Cap, and to some extent Wind Waker, although it was really shown off in Minish Cap and Twilight Princess the best. I like the different sword abilities that you can get. It's not just swing your sword like a maniac. There is actually some techniques that you can learn and perform on monsters and so forth, and I like that. But it's an okay game. It's just okay. Phantom Hourglass, I don't have a whole lot to say about. I liked playing it. I didn't mind as much as other people going back to the was it the Temple of the Ocean God or whatever, over and over again. I did not necessarily mind that. I think it was a neat idea, poorly executed. I've only played like the original Zelda. I've only played it like twice, just because it's hard to. I really wish that they had just made it so you can control Link. I understand like using the boomerang with the stylus and even using like the bow with the stylus or whatever. I understand all that. I don't want to use the stylus to fucking move Link. Just let me use the D-pad that you provided on the console. You don't use that thing at all. You barely use any buttons in this game. I am going to put this. I'm going to put this at the very bottom of good. This is going to be the very bottom. Spirit Tracks, in concept, perfect. Perfect for me. I mean, you've got Legend of Zelda, you've got trains, which I've mentioned I'm a big fan of. You've got, it's a continuation of Wind Waker, which I had the balls to put in Masterpiece. You would think that it'd be a perfect game for me. But then you bring in the fucking pan flute bullshit. This is one of the few Zelda games I have not beaten. I am so close to beating it, but at the final boss, that fucking song you have to play to get to the last stage of the final boss, I cannot play that song. It's awful. I hate the pan flute. Get it away from me. Find some other way to play the instrument. I'll put that at the bottom of average. Okay. Skyward Sword. So this is a game that, like a lot of other temperamental Zelda fans, I was not the biggest fan of until I forget who it was. It was a video that was on the homepage for Zelda Dungeon, I believe, way back in the day, where they're like, "Hey, it's real easy to hate this game. It's real easy to make fun of the controls and say they're bad, but they're actually really good controls. It's just the issue is actually they're a little too accurate, because if you're going for a stab and your arm is crooked at all when you go for the stab, it's going to register as a slice because it's registering that motion, that sideways motion. You've got to make sure when you're stabbing that the Wiimote's perfectly straight, and then go like that, perfectly straight. And instead of flipping the Wiimote like this over and over again for the swimming, just rotate, and that helps you control better. And then I tried it again, perfectly fine. Played the HD remake. The controls were fine still, but them adding the button controls, a little clunky, but it's overall pretty good. It's honestly, even with how linear it is, which is another complaint about the game, it's just a fun game. Again, lots of really memorable characters. You cannot get two characters confused for one another in this game. At least on Skyloft. The mole people, they have their differences, but at one point it becomes, and same with the Kikwi. The Kikwi have a little bit too many similarities. I'd like them to be a little bit more differentiated. But overall, there's a lot of good differences between the different characters. And they all each have their own distinct personalities as well. It's a good game. It's better than what people make it out to be. I am going to put it... do I want to put it in good or very good? I'm going to put it in good. I think between Link's Awakening and the original Zelda games, perfect place for that game. All right. What is A Link Between Worlds? That's what it's called. I forgot what the title of this was. This game, I really liked it. And even with how new it is, I have already played it twice to 100%. It is just a fun game. Stories, whatever. But that's honestly, the story's whatever for most Zelda games, if I'm being honest. If we all actually look at ourselves in the mirror, all of us Zelda fans look ourselves in the mirror, Zelda has a lot of good lore. Zelda does not have a lot of good stories. But anyway, I am going to actually put this in very good. I liked this one. a lot. I really did. And the trading items and stuff, it essentially sets up what these two games became, just in a slightly different way. Triforce Heroes, never played. I wanted to play, just never got around to it. And now I never will. Womp womp. Okay, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So here's the deal. I'll go ahead and move that here. And I will say Breath of the Wild, I love. I love Breath of the Wild so much. I have beaten Breath of the Wild 4 times, I believe. And then I 100%ed it once. So I'm going to go ahead and say excellent to that. It is a good game. I don't care what any of the Zelda fans that want the traditional Zelda formula, which I mentioned on this podcast before, ain't never coming back. Not by the official Zelda team. Maybe Grezzo, who did the remakes of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, maybe they make a and they do Link's Awakening. Maybe they go back and they do another traditional Zelda, but the Zelda team is never going back. We've got the new numbers. Tears of the Kingdom, already within a year of coming out, already second best-selling video game of in this franchise of all time, with Breath of the Wild being the top one, where Breath of the Wild has sold 3 times what the prior top-selling Zelda game ever sold. And within a year, this Zelda sold twice as many as the previous Zelda sold. Highest Zelda game sold. So, this is the formula. They're making too much money. And Kit and Chris on their podcast kind of hinted that Zelda prior to Breath of the Wild was on its last legs. We ain't never going back. Sorry, we're not. But as much as I love this game, and the reason I moved this game down is Tears of the Kingdom is a fucking masterpiece. Alright? It is a masterpiece. It's got the characters. The characters are all memorable. It took what Breath of the Wild did and just overhauled it significantly. It's just phenomenal. It is just phenomenal. And then you've got I can't say anything more positive about the game. It is just a masterpiece. So, anyway. So, this is Future Dean coming in because I realized I didn't actually re-say the list before ending, especially since I made some changes to the list. So, for the benefit of the audio listeners, Uh, Under Masterpiece, we have The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Tears of the Kingdom. Under Excellent, we have The Wind Waker, A Link to the Past, and Breath of the Wild. Under Very Good, we have Majora's Mask, The Minish Cap, and Link Between Worlds. Under Good, we have Link's Awakening, Skyward Sword, the original Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, and the Phantom Hourglass. Under Average, we have Oracle of Seasons, Twilight Princess, and Spirit Tracks. Under Bad, we have Four Swords and Adventure of Link. And then under Never Played, we have Four Swords Adventures and Triforce Heroes. That's the T, sis. So anyway, let me go ahead and if you liked, or even if you didn't like the podcast because you're a fan of Twilight Princess for whatever reason, be sure to do all of the things like hitting the subscribe button and the bell at the XofPlays on YouTube, or giving it a high rating on whatever podcast service you use so you can find like-minded people. Be sure to tell people about this show so you can, because word of mouth helps us grow. And then you can find other people that like Twilight Princess and go, look at this guy. He doesn't like our slow, boring-looking game. And I brought it up before, but on patreon.com/thebriefingroom, you can financially support the show and get cool rewards as well. That's all from us. Take care.